Welcome everyone to the monthly mindset Q&A in January of 2023. For those who are new here and haven't experienced this before, pretty straightforward process. Essentially, I'll just answer all your questions best I can. And the last about 10 to 15 minutes, I'll give you guys kind of like a lesson per se of what I want to mention that I think will benefit everybody here. And also based on the questions that everybody asked me when they signed up, I kind of just take it as a collective and just give, I would say like my recommendation that kind of hits all those points. And with that being said, kind of did this in reverse. My name's Desi, for those who don't know, or Advent, that you may know me on the internet. I also run Cerulean Mind Academy, which you guys have seen like on YouTube and other places. Yeah, other than that, bringing the questions on. You can come off mute, you can type it in the chat, whatever works, and we'll go from there.
How do you manage like a play? Maybe you go to enter and then you get stopped out. Do you then like, I guess, how do you manage your emotions? Because I know for me, like if I get stopped out, I'm like, I hate to say it, but I'll get upset and then I'm just like, forget this whole play. I don't even look at it again. Then I'll go back and see, and it went. I just was either a little early or the trigger didn't trigger the way I needed it to go. So how do you manage that?
You use a strat, right? If you're talking, you may be a little. Can you hear us? All right, so I'm gonna assume that you use a strat.
Yeah, I use a Strat. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Or maybe it might have been on my end.
Okay.
I'm in a different part of the house today. Yeah, so with the strat, as Rob Smith teaches it, if you get in the trade and it goes against you and stops you out, if it hits your trigger again, you're more than welcome to get in again. Now, in terms of, I guess, managing or controlling your emotions, it's more so, like I mentioned before, you can use breathing practices like box breathing and things like that. But with the mentality that you bring to the trade, like, well, I guess I'll just ask you, do you go into it that once it triggers, it's gonna go your way? Or do you kind of just go into it saying, all right, so once it triggers, it has X, Y, it has a chance of going against me, or it has a chance of going for me?
So when I like plan out a trade, I'll plan with the idea that it could go either way. So if it goes like, if I'm going long, if it hits the trigger to go long, I'll say I'm very confident that it's gonna go long. But like prior to entering the trade, I've charted that it could go in either scenario, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I would say on average, or not on average, what time frames do you usually use with these trades? Are they like swings? Are they day trades mainly?
Um, I'll say recently I started taking longer trades, so using higher time frame triggers. Previously, I mean, it didn't happen to me this week, but previously when it would happen, I'll probably use like maybe the highest time frame I might use for a trigger is maybe an hour, but sometimes it might even be like the 30-minute.
I would say depending on the trade, you can always try looking for a TTO. That way you can get a re-entry to help with that. But again, it's just practice. Oh, actually, let me ask you this. Do you say anything to yourself when the trade goes against you and then it goes for you?
Um, Definitely not. Like I think I just like I'm kind of blown. Like so I just get kind of upset and I'm like, well, I've stopped out. Let me look at something else. So I just get frustrated, I guess that um yeah, I guess it went against me. I wouldn't say I'm mad that it went against me, but I'm just mad at the play. Like I guess I feel like, well, I could have used this time for something else kind of deal.
Mm. And what happens when you get in those zones? Like, do you kind of slip into like revenge trading or like force trading, stuff like that, like to get back at the market when that happens?
In the past, but what I'll do now is I'll just like unless I'm already in something, I'll just shut it down. So I'll just do nothing. I'll just be like, well, damn, my play didn't go, and then I just leave it alone. But then like maybe like I took a trade in the AM session, I'll come back for power hour and see that it took off later. And then I'll be even more upset.
I would say when that happens, like I mentioned earlier, just practice your breathing practices just to slow down the emotional mind, because that's going to trigger a lot of us. Like I've definitely been there. And every now and then that still happens to me too. Like we get in, it stops us out, and it keeps on going our direction. Again, a lot of this is just probability. There's not much that we can do that. We can't control the market and what it does. All we can do is just control ourselves. So I would recommend try, if it does go against you, if it goes back to your trigger, try getting back in again and seeing what happens. However, I would recommend, since this is something new for you to try, paper trade it like a day or two and see how it works for you. Like getting back into the trade when it hits your stop, but then goes back to your trigger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
Thank you.
Of course. And let me know. I'm curious to see what happens.
For sure.
Uh, Dr. Luke's asked, what time frame do you enter a trade using the strat, the 15 or 30 minute? So it really depends on what I'm trading. Usually, if I'm trading, I mainly trade futures when I'm day trading. I use the 5, 15, and 30 minute time frame. Now, if I'm trading options, I use the usually the higher ones like the 15, 30, and 1 hour. But it really depends. Since my main focus is usually futures, I'm on the 5, 15, and 30. But for options, the 15, 30, and 1 hour, and the 4 hour sometimes. I use the 4 hours sometimes if I'm day trading. But a lot of this is really going to depend on what works best for you. For example, if you find that the 15-minute isn't working for you, I would probably just stop using it, and just find out what works best for you. Use that. I'm not sure if you journal your trade or not, or journal your trades or not, but if you do, or if you don't, definitely start journaling your trades. If you do journal your trades, start writing the time frame that you enter on and keep note of that. And then after like a week or two, go back to all your notes and all your trades to review them and see what time frames you took the trade on. And from there, determine, all right, cool. For this, I'm going to start using these specific time frames because these here are giving me a better win rate, X, Y, and Z, as opposed to this one. Let me know if that makes sense. And if that answered your question, Dr. L. Perfect. I'm not sure who said this, but iPhone asked, when using a TTO, are you also trying to match with time frame continuity? Just a little confused on finding the right triangles to trade on. So as a general rule of thumb for myself, when I'm looking for TTOs, I look to see if the 4 hour and the 1 hour are the same. Because clearly we're in an uptrend or downtrend, whatever it may be. So if the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and even the daily are the exact same, then I'll just be looking for a TTO on the 5 or 15 minute. Let me know if that answered your question, whoever iPhone is. Perfect. Remy asked, for futures, do you mainly trade the New York session? And how loose do you typically set your stops? So I mainly trade futures during the New York session. It's very rare that, like, sometimes I'll do pre-market if there's like news or stuff like that. But for the most part, I trade futures during the New York session. And then he asked, how loose are my stops typically? My stops are, I guess, refined, for the lack of a better word. I'm very particular, for those who know me, of the setups that I take. And if I see my setup, let's just say it's a TTO or whatever it may be on the 15, 30-minute, whatever it may be, if the stop on that specific setup and trade will exceed my preferred stop, then I'll just let the trade go. I'm super picky on like the way I trade, and I kind of just keep it that way and leave it as is. I think Remy had to step out. So hopefully, Remy, whenever you see this replay, let me know if that answered your question. And then John asked, when you are day trading, how do you manage being in multiple trades at a time? Great question. So when I'm day trading, I usually just pick 2 symbols maximum. I'll either choose NQ or ES to focus on for futures, and then I'll choose maybe one other option or one other individual stock to trade options on during the day. But usually I'm just looking for swings, and I'm looking for to day trades. I'm sorry, I'm looking to day trade futures as like my main focus. And cool. Give me 1 second. Sorry. You can keep on typing questions. Be back in like 1 minute. Sorry about that. Timeless asked, what's a TTO? A TTO stands for triangle layout, and in simplicity, it's simply a pullback or a retracement before the move continues in the current trend. So TTOs are great to use when there's a trend day, whether it's bullish or bearish, to get the best optimal entry for the trade. Dr. L asked, so your future stops are not tick sensitive, meaning 20 or 30. I would say they are tick sensitive, although the way I view it, like I kind of already know if it'll hit my max loss or not, just depending, just by like looking at the chart. I'll see if I can show you guys an example. Let me know if you can see my chart. Give me a yes in the chat. Cool. All right, moving on. So let's just say we're on the 5-minute chart right now. Let's just say for this trade, actually, let me see if I could just bring up the paper trading panel. It'll give me a better reading. So the high is 11,593. Actually, future should be open now. Perfect. So let's just say that I want to get in this trade here. This is 11,1615. Let's put a buy stop here. Let's just put this real quick. Yep. So yeah, in this trade I would take if it does trigger me in, because the distance and the amount loss for the trade, it's within my parameters of what I look to lose per trade. Now, on average, I don't look to lose more than 225 to 250 per trade, depending what time frame and such that I'm on. That's my max limit for a futures trade. Now, some people have a much wider stop, monetary wise. Just me personally, that's my own personal preference. And of course, this is all personal to you or whoever else trades, in the sense of what works and what doesn't work for them. So let's just assume maybe the 30-minute. Let's just assume that, well, I can't really show right now. Let's assume that the trade was like something like this, like 150 or 200 or whatever. I would like if it's more than what I'm comfortable with, I would just leave it alone. And on top of that, if the risk reward is not at least 2 or higher, I just leave it alone and I don't trade. I let the trade go, because I don't like risking. Let's just say for the sake of the combo, I'm not going to risk 100 to make 100, but I'll risk 200 to make 100 or more. But if it's something that's less than a risk reward of 2 or an R of 2, then I just leave it alone. Let me know if that answered your question. And yeah, I prefer NQ or MNQ, either or, because it's a little more fluid in the way it moves compared to ES, compared to NQ moves a little faster for me compared to ES. ES to me is a little slow sometimes, but for beginners, I would recommend MES, and definitely paper trade it, please, because it can go very south if you don't know what you're doing. YM, or the Dow Jones, it moves too fast for my liking, so NQ is like the perfect balance for what I like.
I have a question related to this chart.
Yep.
So you said that you put your stop loss on the trigger candle. So if we were gonna do a 2-1-2 up, you would put it on based on the new 2 that would form.
Well, in this specific case, if I'm gonna take the 2-2 up, I would put this is the setup candle here, and this will be the trigger candle. So I'll just be putting my buy stop a tick above the setup candle. And if this triggers me in, perfect. If it turns into a 2, then I'll just move down the entry. For example, let's just say my buy stop is here for a 2-2 up, but if it closes as a 1, then I'll just bring this down, and then it'll trigger me in on the next candle.
And then where do you put your stop loss?
Well, the stop, so there's 2 methods, depending, for those who know the strat. If you follow the strat like in and of itself, the trigger candle, I put my stop under the trigger candle. Some people like, another thing that people do is put the stop loss under the setup candle, which will be under this one, the green one. But for me, I like to put it under the the trigger candle. It gives me tighter stops. And like I mentioned, since I'm very picky with my specific setups, usually, more often than not, they don't stop me out. And if it does, it is what it is. I was on the wrong side of probability.
But how do you put the stop loss on the trigger candle? Like, what if it keeps going down? Because
Well, if it keeps going down, then I just move the stop. Now, if the stop it changes the risk reward, then I'll just cancel the whole trade.
okay.
Yeah. So, cool. So for Supreme Solutions asked, what is your advice on building small accounts? If you're trading options, I would definitely recommend that you look for contracts or stocks that offer lower price contracts with higher premiums, such as Coca-Cola. I actually prefer IWM over SPY because the premiums are a little cheaper for more days till expiration. I don't really trade 0 DTEs. Well, I don't really trade options anymore, indices anyway, because I trade futures. But when I used to, I would mainly focus on IWM, mainly because the premiums are cheaper for more expiration dates. Also, don't swing. Please don't swing. indices. That's just my personal preference, and it's just a lot better just to swing individual stock. So yeah, definitely recommend IWM, Coca-Cola. What other ones? Apple is a good one. Neo.
AMD a good one for small
AMD is good.
accounts too.
Yeah, I enjoy AMD sometimes. I haven't traded in a while, but I enjoy it when I trade it. Sometimes the spreads on AMD annoy me, but it is what it is. It's within my spread range. But yeah, AMD is another good one. So yeah, Neo, AMD, Coca-Cola, Apple, IWM if you want to trade an index. And another one like Kroger, Oxy, MRO, those are good too.
Are we
CCL you
talking
like?
for swing trading?
Swing trading, day trading, either one. Except indexes. Don't swing. Well, I wouldn't swing SPY, IWM, and QQQ. I'm good on that. Supreme Solutions. Let me know if that answered your question, or if you wanted to know a little more.
Hey, thanks, man.
Of course. And if you're not used to trading specific stocks, I always recommend at least paper trade them to see how they move. Like for example, when I started, I don't trade Facebook or Meta, mainly because it's not really within my, I don't really like the contract, like the spreads and stuff like that. But when I first started trading them a long time ago, I didn't really understand spread too much. And one of the reasons why I don't really like trading stocks with big spreads like Tesla and stuff like that is mainly because the spreads are a little wide. So let's say if I have to stop out, let's just say I get in the contract at 3.00 and my stop is at 2.50. Due to the spread, I may actually stop out at like 2.40, 2.30. So I'm incurring slippage and a bigger loss due to that. So the ones that I mentioned, the spreads are pretty tight, and you can get in the money contracts super cheap with high deltas and low theta. Cool. Fly asked, would you recommend newer traders to look for scalps, day trades, or swing trade? Great question. I'm definitely glad that somebody asked this. A misconception, or not even a misconception, something that new traders tend to do, especially if they haven't traded before, they're like, I'm going to be a swing trader. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that and make a lot of money, X, Y, and Z. Day trading in and of itself is an entirely different skill when it comes to trading. I would definitely recommend swing trading to newer traders, mainly because one, it's less taxing mentally because it's trading over a wider amount of time. And most people who don't really day trade or don't really have not really traded, or even on average, most people have day jobs. So I personally wouldn't recommend day trading at your day job, mainly because, which I'll go into a little later to answer somebody's question that isn't here, but you know, if you really want to make money off this, you have to give it the respect that it deserves. If you're really into your job and you're distracted, you shouldn't be day trading, period. Because you're gonna miss your exits, you're gonna miss your entries, all that stuff, and then it's gonna make you more prone to getting triggered from your emotional brain and making dumb decisions. Like if you're at a job, I'll give you an example. I had this individual that I was working with where he swung a stock and he was looking to exit that specific day. However, he was in a meeting with his boss and he couldn't get to his phone or his computer on time, and he incurred a 4-figure loss because he was trading while working. So I don't recommend day trading, at least if you're a beginner. Focus on swing trading and just really understanding the basics, how to read charts, how price moves, all that other good stuff. And then like go into day trading. And you can practice day trading as you're like, focusing on swing trading and stuff like that, but make it your main focus to just understand how everything works. Let me know if that makes sense and if that answered your question. All right, so Dr. L asked, how did you enter that trade just now in TradingView? When I use it, you get market ordered. So to show you guys again, for those who use TradingView, these arrow, well, you can do one of two ways. You can just right click trade and just do sell or stop or just create new order. Make sure it's not on market, because if you do market, it's going to just get you in right away. You want to do limit or stops. For those who use the strat, stops are great because it'll just auto get you in the trade by itself. You can use limits as well. So like if I want to set a limit here, for example, I could just right click. To me, I find just right clicking and just doing this faster because it already just gets the price that I want. Because if let's just say if I do create new order, I have to like go to limit and then I got to find the specific and type in the price that I want to get in or whatever it may be. So if I just go here, buy limit and just click on this really quickly, and then I just leave it there. And then once it triggers me in, it'll do it on its own. Oh, perfect. So yeah, now that it got me in on the limit, it's either going to hit my target or it's going to stop me out. And we'll see what happens in the meantime as I answer more questions. Probably going to stop me out based on this action we have here. Anyway, let me know if that answered your question, Dr. L. And Mariah asked, is there a reason why I don't recommending swinging SPY or indices? Yes, because a theta is, well, one, you're going to be spending a lot of money on indices as opposed to individual stock. Not only that, but indices are more prone to volatile swings. So some people, let's just say they want like a 3 DTE SPY. Well, one, you're going to be paying a lot of premium for like a 3, 4, 5 DTE contract on SPY, IWM, QQQ, whatever it may be. When you can just use that money to swing trade something better with a lot less data and probably better deltas or just better Greeks in general. But again, mainly because the indices tend to fluctuate a lot more than individual stock, at least on an overnight or day-to-day basis. And theta is really high for them. So you can get like a 1 DTE contract that may be worth 200, but the theta might be 60 or 0.60. So just by holding that contract, you're going to be losing $60 per contract. And if it goes against you, not only are you incur the loss of theta, but you're going to incur the loss of the deltas going against you. So that's why I personally don't swing indices. If anybody in here, whoever sees this, you find success doing that, please keep doing it. I'm not here to knock what works. This is just my own personal preferences. Cool. All righty. More questions. You guys can come off mute as well. You don't have to just type questions. Should be able to unmute yourselves.
Okay, since no one has a question, can you just show us really quick how you use the Strat Scanner? Because I tried to use it for the first time today, and it was just giving me a bunch of symbols that I'd never seen before. So how do you get
Perfect.
swing trading
I'm
specifically?
gonna exit that as well. So I have a video on YouTube as well, just explaining it real quick. But essentially, when my friend made this for me, I mainly created it for Forex because my cousin's group that trades Forex, we were trying to figure out a way to just simplify the process because, you know, there's like Tradingview. I mean, there's like Thinkorswim. There's the Google Docs Strat Scanner that you know, some people use to just make it easier to find setups. But for Forex, as far as I know, there isn't really anything like this. So we kind of just developed this to make it easier to find setups on Forex, because there's like a million pairs. I'll show you real quick. Like right here, there's a million pairs, and it's kind of annoying going through each and every one and looking in it through each and every single time frame looking for a setup. When just right here, we could just have all of them there and just look for the setups and the time frames. So pretty straightforward on how to use it. For those who don't know, for those who do have it, when you add it to your chart, the little settings icon here, you're going to click on that, and then you're just going to type in whatever pair you want on your list. So for example, let's say for example here, I want to add Netflix. It'll refresh and it'll add Netflix to the chart. And the way it works is, as we can see up here, the time frame that I'm on. If I'm on the 4-hour time frame, it's gonna give me the 4-hour time frame for every single symbol that's on this list, and whatever lights up is the current pattern that's showing on that chart. So for example, let's just say for Netflix, we have a 2-1 on the 4-hour. Let's see. So yeah, for Netflix, 2-1, we go here, it's lit up. Fibs. We have here, 2-1, it's lit up. MRO, it says it has a shooter. Let's check Ether. Oh, interesting. That was weird. This MRO, it says there's a shooter there. I would kind of consider this more of a reverse hammer. And in the settings as well, I forgot to mention, for the hammer or shooter threshold, you can adjust this to make it, let's say, for example, instead of showing like this body here as a shooter, you can adjust the threshold to make it smaller. But yeah, pretty straightforward. So you could use it this way, and you can literally just adjust it however you want. And something that I've noticed, a little glitch that happens sometimes, even if you try to turn it on, it won't show up on the chart. So what you can do is you can go to the, I'm not sure if it'll show you guys since I have the source code hidden, but you can click on source code and just click on add to chart, and it should add it to your chart with the tickers that you have added. You're welcome, Supreme. I'll definitely see you later on, and appreciate your words. Let me know if that made sense on how to use the scanner.
Yeah, so those are the symbols that you would recommend swing trading. Obviously, wait, not.
Well, it could be whatever you want. I think I have my chart here with other ones that I've added. Oh yeah, I have to recode this again because it took off some of my tickers that I had. It could literally be with whatever you want. You can do like Coca-Cola, Apple, Amazon's good, and stuff like that. It could literally be any stock that you're comfortable with trading. You can even use Bitcoin or Ethereum. Those are always good to swing trade. I mainly just swing trade crypto futures as well. So there's that. So these are some that I have here. I like swinging Pfizer, super cheap premiums, in the money as well. Yeah, we have a 2-1 here. But yeah, Pfizer, Coca-Cola, MRO, Oxy, the ones I mentioned earlier as well are all good to swing. Cool. I'll take, let me know if that made sense before. I'm gonna take about 1 or 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna get to the.
Yeah, so you use the Strat Scanner for day trading too, not just for swing trades?
Not really. I don't really use this because like when I'm day trading, it's kind of like obnoxious to have on my screen.
Yeah.
Unless I'm focusing on options, I'm not going to be using this because if I'm trading any, excuse me, if I'm trading NQ, let's say, I already have my four charts open, so I'm mainly focusing on this, and I'm only going to be looking to intraday trade on these time frames here. So I'm not really going to be looking at everything else. Like I just use this to just look at the setups quicker for some things, and then I just adjust. Then I start looking for setups if it meets my criteria, stuff like that, and look to swing them. Because I don't really like this being in the way of my chart, and it kind of gets in the way of like if I have anything written down like on the right side and stuff like that. So I kind of just use this for swing trading. I don't really use it for day trading because if I'm going to day trade a specific stock, I am focusing on it already. So usually I don't really bother with this.
What time frame do you draw your broadening formations on?
The yearly all the way down to the 4 hour. So yeah, so those who draw BFs, if your chart looks like this, you're doing it right. And for those who don't know, on TradingView, it's over here, on TradingView, you can organize all your BFs. Oh, whoops. You can organize all your BFs and just put them in a folder. So if you don't want to see all of them, you can just quickly hide them with the object tree. If you don't know how to do this, I made a YouTube video like going through in excruciating detail on how to use TradingView and set it up. So you guys can check that out. I'll probably, if it's beneficial to you guys, I could just put it in the description of this video when I put it on YouTube. That way you can quickly find it. If you want that, let me know and I'll just make a little note of that.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Cool. Let me just make a quick note.
Yes.
Cool. And you asked how far out the money do I go when trading, or is it price related? If I'm day trading, I made a video on this as well on the YouTube. I use the SIDE ATR. Well, I kind of only really choose at the money or in the money contracts when I'm day trading. And you can use that SIDE ATR indicator to help you with that as well. I have a video on YouTube going over that. But essentially, you can use the SIDE ATR indicator to determine what contracts you want. So for example, if the ATR, let's just say for Pfizer is $1.20, I'm going to be looking to choose a contract within that range. Although for Pfizer, I'm already going to go in the money. So this wouldn't really be beneficial to me in this case, but for others who may want to use it. But for me, let's just assume that I didn't do in the money for Pfizer, and I see the ATR is 1.20. I will probably choose a contract like 50 cents away. So in the case of this specific chart and the time frame, if I were to use a 2-1, let's say this does 2-1-2 continuation, I would probably choose a 48 strike. And if not, maybe even a 48.50 strike. But in this case, I would choose a 48, mainly because it's close to my first target. And by the time it's my first target, it'll already be in the money. And I want to get as much premium as I can. I'm not sure who iPhone is, but they asked what the scanner is called on the bottom right, this one here. It's just called the Strat Scanner. For those who are in my group, it's there for free. My friend made it for me, but as per his request, for those who want it for those outside who want it, he has a link on his Gumroad where you can purchase it for $50 one-time payment, and you get updates with it whenever we update it with more features. And for those who do have it and you want more features with it, just let us know, and we'll work on updating that. And I'll post a link to this in the description as well. Cool. I'll take one more question, and then I'll share with you guys something that I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap it up.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you answer them questions I asked you in the Discord? My bad, my voice.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Hold on, give me one sec.
And I asked a couple questions in the chat too.
Yeah, the TTO I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure. I think I think I saw you like get disconnected a few times.
Man, I'm over here in Texas, bro, in the middle of nowhere. My bad, my service is horrible.
No, it's all good. In the replay, you'll see I'll have answered the question. So
What's a spread also?
a spread is just essentially like how much like the bid price and the ask price, the discrepancies between that is the spread. I won't go too deep into it because
Gotcha. That's like in regards to options, right?
it could be options, regular stock, sometimes even future. Well, not really for futures, but usually for stock options. It could be Forex, crypto, a lot of stuff. So actually, I'm gonna spend the next 5 minutes or so answering questions that people couldn't attend. Timeless asked as well, what's better, stocks, options, or futures? And what's better to day trade? It really depends on the individual. Now, for myself, I started day trading and trading penny stocks, and then I discovered options. So I started day trading that. And then I discovered futures, and then now I mainly focus on that, mainly because trading futures to me is very similar to when I used to trade stocks. It's literally just going long or short, and that's pretty much it. Of course, have the same risk management as you should with everything. And it's just pretty straightforward, just buy or sell. For options, you got to worry about like the Greeks, theta, deltas, all that other stuff, expiration dates. For futures, it's just pretty straightforward, buy or sell, done. For those who trade Forex, similar thing. You're either buying or you're selling, and that's it. And what's better to day trade? All of them, in my eyes, are kind of the same thing. Yeah, hashtag team futures. Yeah, for me, all of them are valid to day trade. Just for me, options and futures, in my opinion, would give you better monetary returns. Because for stocks, I'm gonna need a lot more money to, let's say, make $100 off a dollar move on a stock, as opposed to like options or futures. Me personally, I like futures a lot, mainly because, again, I don't have to worry about the Greeks and all the other stuff. But even options, they're great for day trading as well. You can make a good amount of money. Well, honestly, with everything, it just depends on the dedication and the knowledge and the time that you're dedicating to this. Because I know people who only trade options and they make a killing. I know people who only trade futures and they make a killing. I know people who only trade Forex and they make a ton of money too. It's really just dependent on your own personal preference and what you like. For me right now, I love futures. That's like my go-to every single day. Also, don't swing futures. But yeah, I kind of just use options to swing trade mainly. But I do day trade them as well. What's the difficulty of getting a funded account? It's super, super simple. Now, if you meant more so, what's the difficulty in actually passing the funded account? That's another question. But to get the funded account, super easy. Just go on a funded website. In the Discord in the funded account section, I have it there. There's Apex Trading or
Yeah, like what's the difficulty of actually passing?
that depends on the individual and the discipline level and knowledge that they have. So some people that I know passed it in 2-3 days. Some people that I know also passed it and then blew it up right away, just as fast. Again, this depends on your skill level. If I know people who pass it literally in 1 day. But again, this all depends on your skill level and your knowledge of the markets. Now, when it comes to funded accounts, it's a little more challenging, mainly because there's more rules like trading stop losses, how many contracts you can have open, when you can trade, when you can't trade, stuff like that. I won't go too much in detail. I have a video on YouTube talking about that. I'm giving a lot more detail on it. But yeah, to passing a funded account, that's entirely up to the individual and their skill level. How soon would I recommend someone to become a live trader? As a general rule of thumb, if you're new, I know a lot of people that are new, they just want to start and get in super quick with the money and just start making money now. But again, to me, that's detrimental to a trader, especially a new one, because not only do you not really know how to even read charts, not you, just like in general, not even know how to read charts, but they might not even know when to get in a trade, when to get out of trade, stop losses, understanding that when they use their real money, they're going to get emotionally triggered, which is going to affect them, revenge trading, all that other stuff. Not even having the right mentality to come into trading. It's a lot of stuff that needs to be developed and learned, in my opinion, before live trading. And then once you become consistent with paper trading, the next thing that I always recommend and teach the traders that I work with and individuals that I work with is, in the beginning, paper trade, just to understand what you're doing and build some consistency with the mechanical part of trading, and also understanding the emotional intelligence side of trading, because paper trading is great to know how to trade and all those other things. But what paper trading doesn't really do is teach and show you about the emotional side of trading. For example, paper trading, your brain doesn't really get, your emotional brain doesn't get triggered, because on a subconscious or like in the back of your head, you know that this is not real money. But when real money is introduced to trading and you're trading, you're gonna your emotional brain's gonna be going crazy because it's real, which affects a lot of people. I'm sure those in here, even myself, and I'm sure people in here that they know, and other people that I know, they know how to trade, but since they never took the time to work on the emotional side and like understanding the emotional intelligence aspect of trading and the mentality side, they're still struggling in their trading, even though they know how to trade, because they know when to get in and when to get out, X, Y, and Z, but they still don't really know what patterns they may be exhibiting, what self-sabotage patterns they have, how to regulate their emotions to stop them from stop your emotions from getting in the way of your trading. To give a quick example, paper trading wise, you may be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get in here. If it goes against me, I have my stop there set, X, Y, and Z. If it goes hits my profit, I'll take it, whatever it may be. But for the sake of the conversation, I'm sure a lot of people in here have experienced this. You'll get in a trade and you'll start getting nervous, or you'll start getting like a little fearful, like, oh, I'm up 2% or 5% or 10%. Let me take my profit because the market's gonna go against me and make me lose that money. Or, oh, my stop loss may be 15%, but I'm at -3%. Let me just take it off now because the market's gonna go even. It's gonna go against me and stop me out. And then they'll get out of the trade, and then it goes to their profit target, and now they're upset. And for those who have experienced that, definitely give me a yes or whatever in the chat. And again, this is a safe space. There's no judgment here. It's all love. We're all here to grow together. So, yeah. And again, the emotional brain that people don't really understand. I'll just make a quick note because, I have a webinar for those who don't know on my Gumroad talking about emotional intelligence. It's $25 and it goes over pretty much what I'm talking about now. But yeah, when it comes to emotional intelligence and like controlling your emotions, our brain does not like uncertain situations, and the market is uncertain. It's only probability. I can get my best setup and it can still lose because again, it's just probability. Nothing is guaranteed. But since our brain doesn't like uncertain situations, it's going to do everything it can to get us out of that situation, whether it's good for you or bad for you. Hasn't you take profit or stop loss? Your emotional brain doesn't care. You're using money. It wants you to stop because losing money is a threat to the emotional brain, because money is our food, security, our livelihood, all that stuff. So once that's threatened, our brain is going to do everything it can to get us out of that. So if you don't have the proper skills to regulate that, it's going to affect your trading a lot. I'll tell you that. So to summarize that whole question, I would recommend at least a month, even 2 months of paper trading until you become consistent in the paper trading, and then move in to using live money. And another thing to note, for those who do paper trade, I still paper trade sometimes when I'm trying something new. If it's something new, don't use your real money, just paper trade. It doesn't make sense to lose real money while you're still learning or you want to learn something new. Like for futures, I started paper trading them first before I use my real money. And then once I got comfortable with it, then I use my real money. So yeah, 1 to 2 months of paper trading, then move into using real money. But also in the meantime, while you're paper trading, study the emotional and the mentality side so you can be prepared. But I'll tell you this, studying it is one thing and experiencing it is another thing. So just know that now. Cool. Somebody asked as well, what indicators work best for a smaller account? I don't really use indicators since I just trade the strat. I just use the strat, fibs, and I've been learning some ICT concepts recently. That's all I use. Chris, I'm gonna mute you for now. Just let me know in the chat when you want to say, well, we're kind of ending, but I'll mute you for now. Yeah, indicators wise, for the individual who asked that, I don't really use indicators. I don't personally don't really care for them, mainly because how do I say this? It's best to just like start off with like clean charts so you can see what price is doing and just like reading charts, because a lot of people get caught up in indicators. Oh, the MACD is doing this, the RSI is doing that. Also, fight me on this, but RSI is useless. I said it. Anyway.
How?
Say it again.
How?
Well, the RSI is useless because people might be like, oh, it's oversold, let me go short. But then the price keeps on going up. So to me, it's useless. Price action is gonna be the best indicator for you to tell you exactly what price wants to do. Because remember, all those indicators, or most of them, are lagging behind price. So the best thing to learn is just price itself and see what price is doing, because that's going to tell you what it wants to do. The indicators are just telling you from before, like a little delayed. Like some people are like, oh, go long when the 12 goes above the 5 or whatever it is. But price has already reversed to the upside like 3-4 candles ago. So you'll always be late, in my opinion, if you're using indicators.
So what's price action like?
Price action, I'm not going to go too deep into that. Just start looking at the strat stuff in the Strat Academy. And in the Discord, and it'll explain it to you, because talking about price action, like, we'll be here for hours. But price action, and simply put, is just literally just what is price doing, and the strat is just price action simplified. So for the person who asked the indicator question, you can reach out to me. Just DM me, let me know if that made sense. They also asked, they don't know whether or not to do 3-day trades a week. I'm assuming that means that you have a margin account. I would highly recommend that if you do want a day trade, just have a cash account, because you'll be limited to the 3-day trades for every 5 days if you're under PDT. And if you have a cash account, it settles the very next day if you're trading options. So yeah, they said they don't know whether or not to do a 3-day trades a week or swing trade. Both work for them and their lifestyle. Again, if you want to be a little more relaxed, definitely swing trade. Just set your alerts and just stop out or take your profit when they hit, and adjust, move your stop up when it goes in profit. I would definitely say focus, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, just swing trade, and then at the same time as you practice day trading until you get more comfortable with that. And let me know if that all made sense when you reach out to me. Another thing that somebody else asked is, when going on a winning streak, how do you stay focused in the process and only think about each trade and not only on finding great setups? Well, actually, they asked this a little weird. Essentially, they asked, when going on a winning streak, how do you stay focused on the process as opposed to focusing on the money, or like how much you can make? And if anybody here has experienced that, let me know in the chat before I answer this. So if you're on a winning streak, how to stay focused on the process as opposed to the money is just bringing it back to coming back to your center and remembering that the money is a byproduct of the process and the system that you have. Just ultimately understanding, excuse me, ultimately understanding that by remembering that, hey, I made this money because I'm doing X, Y, and Z. It's just sticking to that and just thinking and focusing on that as opposed to the money. Because I'm sure, as cliche as it sounds, what you focus on grows. If you're focusing on the money, that thought is going to grow in your mind. It's gonna overtake most of your thoughts. But if you're just focused on the process, then you're going to focus on the process. You're going to focus on looking at looking for your best setups and focusing on what works and what doesn't work for you. What works for me, every time I go into a trading session, instead of saying I'm going to make this much money a day, I just go into it saying, today I'm going to focus on looking for my best setups and my performance. I'm going to focus on doing what works, and I'm not going to do what doesn't work. And that's it. Because if you focus on the money, you're going to be forcing trades. You're going to revenge trade. You're going to open yourself up to that. So you want to be focusing and remembering to just look at the process and just go from there. And let me know when you do read this, if that resonated. And even for you guys as well that are in here, if that made sense before I continue. And some last things. I'm gonna like consolidate these 3 things in like one answer. So somebody asked, jumping into trades prematurely and not following the setups that they chart. Somebody else asked, controlling their emotions, daily habits and to-dos, and daily habits, to-dos and not to-do to be consistent as a trader. Somebody else asked FOMO, like not having a plan. Well, I had FOMO there written down, but somebody asked like having no plan, struggling with stop loss, and like getting into trades blind. Again, this goes back to having emotional regulation skills. So if you don't have a plan and you're jumping in blind, you're probably you're gambling. You're pretty much just gambling. You're not trading. You're gambling if you just jump in blind. If you're struggling with a stop loss, I'm going to assume that means that you don't respect your stop loss. And for the person who's jumping into trades prematurely and not following their plan, that is 100% the emotional mind just getting you into trades because you're being proactive as opposed to reacting to the trade. So if you're jumping into a trade early, you're trading with your thoughts or with your feelings as opposed to actually what's happening. If the trade didn't trigger you long or short, you're not supposed to be in a trade. We're here to react to what price is doing. We're not here to guess. Well, we're here to guess what it's doing, but you know what I mean. We're not here to assume in the sense of like, I'm not gonna get into a trade with the mentality of, oh, let me get in early because it's gonna do this. I don't know that until it actually triggers me into the trade. So for these three things, if you don't have your entry, take profit, and stop loss already planned out, there is no trade. You are not allowed to get into the trade, period, at all. For the controlling your emotional part, I mentioned it before a little earlier. One of my go-tos, again, you can check out my emotional intelligence webinar. It's on my Gumroad for those who don't know, and I'll post it on the description on the YouTube video when I upload this. But some skills that can help you is box breathing, because when we're in that moment, or even right before we get into that moment of like our emotional brain takes us over, by box breathing, it's going to slow down that process so we can bring back the logical mind to put us back in our logical state. So that way, before you may jump into a trade prematurely, you may bring yourself back to a neutral state and be like, what am I doing? My setup hasn't even triggered me to get into the trade. Let me just wait. Daily habits, I guess they asked as well, like daily habits to do and to be a consistently profitable trader. This is kind of like a pretty loaded question, but I'll just keep it short. Make a rule list, journal your trades. What else? Have a routine that'll put you in a good state to trade. For me, I have a whole morning routine. I wake up, I do a little exercise, I meditate, I make sure, I eat all that stuff because all that puts me in the proper state and puts me in a focused state to trade. If I don't complete my morning routine, I don't trade. If I have to get on the computer a little late because I'm taking a little longer to do my morning routine, it is what it is. I'd rather be late to trade and be focused than half-ass my routine and not be at the best place and then mess up on trades and lose money. So definitely having a routine before you trade to focus you definitely works. What else? Somebody mentioned treating trading as a business. Like I mentioned before, just ask yourself, do you really want to make money off this? Or is this like a game to you? I know a lot of people, and to each their own, but for like my students and people that I work with, they're not allowed to use the word play. Like, oh, I'm going to get into this play. I make them change that language to use the word trade instead. I'm going to get into this trade. Because if you're using the word play, you're opening up your subconscious to think this is a game, and we're not here to play any games. At the end of the day, we're here to make money. So to treat trading as a business, just ask yourself, do you actually want to succeed? And this goes back to like journaling, stuff like that. Some people don't journal. A lot of people actually don't journal. if you have a business, for those who may have some here, or for those who are listening now, if you have a business, let's just for the sake of the conversation, say that you own a restaurant and you have food on the menu. How are you going to know what people like or what's selling and what's not selling? You have to keep records of that, which is in conjunction with our trading, which is where journaling comes in. How do you know what type of trader you are? If you can't answer the question of what type of trader you are, that means that your journaling habits aren't efficient, or you're not journaling properly. If you don't know what your best setups are, you're not journaling properly. You're not journaling at all. So how can you expect to win or to succeed in trading if you don't even know what works for you? Or if you don't even know what type of trader you are, amongst many other things. But yeah, for the individual who asked me that, just reach out to me and let me know if that makes sense. Yeah, cool. So really quickly, somebody mentioned, or well, this is more so what I want to talk about. Two things: holding yourself accountable, and I've noticed. Well, I'm working with an individual now, and this has happened with other people that I've worked with, and even myself, where some people use trading as an escape from their regular life, and I'll go into that in a bit. But holding yourself accountable, pretty straightforward. Just be honest with yourself. Not only with your trading, but even in your personal life. Where are you not showing up? Where you need to be showing up, or not even need to, where you must show up to get where you need to get to, whether in your personal life or in your trading life. And I get it. Sometimes it's hard to be honest with ourselves. It's easier to just blame things outside of ourselves. Like, oh, I'm losing money because the market did this or the market did that. But it's like, who got into that trade? Did the market make you get into that trade, or did you do that? So hold yourself accountable for your actions and what you're doing and what you're not doing to get you where you want to be. And again, journaling is definitely in part with the holding yourself accountable, because some people actually don't like to. Somebody that I was working with, and even myself, for a long time, I didn't want to journal because I didn't want to see where I was falling short, where I was failing at, what I wasn't doing that I needed to be doing to be where I needed to be, or to get to where I wanted to be. So yeah, hold yourself accountable, and let me know if that makes sense in the chat. For those who know, I freaking love all this stuff. So like, if you let me, I'll be here for 5 hours. But I like to respect everybody's time as well as mine. And then the last thing that I just want to touch up on is using trading as an escape from current life issues. I'm working with this individual now who he was doing great when he was trading. Like, I think 2 weeks ago, I think he grew his account more than 50% in a week, which was phenomenal. But then I started noticing that after that happened, the prior week, I think he had about 4 red days and 1 green day, which was very different than the 4 green days and 1 red day of the previous week. So I started asking him some questions, and I discovered that he wasn't really focusing when he would be trading. Like, he couldn't really get a read anymore on the market the way he was. And I started asking him, like, what's going on? Like, are things good in your life, X, Y, and Z? Like, is there any like outside things that are going on that are affecting you? And I discovered that he's experiencing some things in his personal life, which is affecting his trading, because having that in his mind is affecting his performance in what he's doing, like properly focusing, and even to an extent, like, because it was like chaotic in what's happening in his personal life, he was kind of just trading to like just focus on this as opposed to attend to what he needed to attend to. And I'll just share this here just for those who may be going through the same situation. What helped me, one of the biggest things that got me where I was, because I was doing the same thing before I became profitable and like consistent in my trading. Like I was depressed for a really long time, and like there was a lot of stuff in my personal life that was affecting me a lot, and I didn't really want to deal with that. I won't go into detail, but you know, like a lot of stuff was affecting me, and I would use trading as a way to escape that. And as I always tell people, your P&L, it doesn't lie. Your P&L is going to tell you what's going on. If your P&L is going down, you got to look at that. If it's going up, great job, keep doing what you're doing. But what I would do is just use trading as an escape of like, you know, from what was happening in my personal life, and not attend to what I needed to attend to, which reflected in my trading. I always look as your trading account as a reflection of yourself. If you're doing great, then you probably have everything in order. You're disciplined, X, Y, and Z. But if you're doing bad, for the most part, if you're new, of course, if you don't know what you're doing, fair enough. But you know, like if you're seasoned and you know, and you've been doing this for a while, but for the most part, that can be like an aspect of what's affecting your trading. So I just recommend it to him, and even what I ended up doing. For him, I just told him to just take a break from trading for a few days, just to clear his head, focus on attending to his personal life, because what he's doing now isn't working. What I was doing wasn't working. Like I was like red for 2 months straight, just red. It was horrible. And then I decided to take a month off from trading, get myself together. Actually, I think I took like a month and a half of trading off. I got my own coach. Jacob, if you ever see this, shout out to you. Freaking love you. Got my own coach, freaking changed my life. And yeah, I'm here to share this all with you guys. So definitely take the time off if need be. If you guys are struggling with anything in your personal life, and just focus on yourselves. I know escaping is definitely like easy, but in you know, it's not going to be conducive in the long run for your life. And don't feel the need to trade every day. You know, I take one day off every day from every week from trading. But for some people, if you need you know, if you need a week off from trading, just take a week off. The market will be here when you come back. And yeah, with all that being said, for those who are listening to this, or who may be here, like I mentioned earlier, I do offer coaching services, whether it's for trading or even your personal life. I assist in both. I'll post my link, actually, for those who don't know. I will post it in the chat here, and then of course in the YouTube video, I'll just post it there. For those who don't know, like I mentioned, I offer one-on-one coaching services, whether for your trading or your life, whatever it may be, and I'll get you where you need to be and help you. And if any issues that we spoke about today, you want to dive much more deeper into it, definitely let me know, and I can definitely help you with that. Cool. With all that being said, what was everybody's biggest takeaway from this session? You can type it in the chat, come off mute, whatever works. Journal your trades, absolutely. 100% journal your trades. Like, please journal your trades. You guys can write this down. I'll give you another nugget. We cannot track what we do not measure. Write that down. Bly said focus on the money and not the process. Yep, definitely. Remember, the money is going to come from the process, not the other way around. Any last tidbits? Give another minute or two, and then I'll end this. Cool. So, excuse me. Thank you all for coming out. Truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys. It was a pleasure to help y'all and answer all your questions. And I definitely appreciate the questions. Like I mentioned, I freaking love this stuff. If you guys let me, I'll talk your ear off all day about it. But yeah. For those who did come late and for those who are seeing this now, the same link that you use to join this session, it's the exact same link to book the next one. The one for February is already there. I saw earlier somebody already booked or somebody already registered for the February session. And again, it's free, and this will always be free. Yeah, so just the same link that you guys used to do this. It'll have all the future dates ready for you guys to book. So you have that in your records. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys again for coming out. I will post this. It should be on the YouTube in about an hour or two. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Very welcome, all of you. Talk to you guys later.